Hi guys, and welcome to the Aging Games. You won't want to miss today's video. I'm so excited to have my good friend Mark Bajerski here with us today to answer some really important questions that we all want to know the answers to. Now, Mark Bajerski is an international best-selling author, and he's also a pure energy healer. He founded the Pure Energy Healing Academy, and he is an amazing person with so much knowledge. I have learned so much from him throughout the years, and he has helped me through some really difficult times in my life. So I feel so honored and privileged that he's sitting down with us today to answer some really important questions about what's happening in the world, how to deal with all these difficult situations that we might be in with friends, with family, how to talk to our children about what's going on, how to save them from being traumatized, what is karma. I just had a million questions for him, also about his stones, that he works with stones and crystals, and what we can use to protect our bodies from 5G radiation and from other types of radiation, from Wi-Fi, from our computer screens, things like that. So I'm really excited, guys, and let's welcome Mark Bajerski. Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for agreeing to answer some of our questions that I've collected from our viewers and from friends. And during these difficult times, we definitely have a big need for your insight. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Oh, thank you so much, Lynn. It's a pleasure being here, right here. You're right there. No such thing as space and time, of course. Yeah, I'd like to say hello, first of all, to everybody who's watching today, wherever you're from, and thank you so much for allowing me to answer some of the questions. And I'm sure these questions are going to be pretty powerful because you're a powerful soul. So, and I guess all the people that watch you and love you, as we all do, appreciate the time and effort you put into helping the world raise its vibration and heal in so many ways. So thanks very much.
The first thing that we wanted to ask you, the first question is, during these really difficult times, so many people are feeling helpless and hopeless and just kind of completely out of touch with reality. What would you say to these people? How can you find hope? How can you feel better about what's happening?
Right, how to feel better in times when everything around us is in slight chaos. I think one thing that I've practiced and learned over the years is the art of change. Most people in truth don't appreciate change. They say they want it, but actually are pretty scared when it happens. So the first thing we have to learn is to become your master of your life and the change that happens. Because the one thing that is constant is change. I think most of us fight so hard without even realizing to keep our life just as we want it because we feel safe. And I have a kind of deep-rooted spiritual understanding within me that says every time you stop, every time you think you're comfortable, every time you think you're safe, every time you want everything to just stay the same, actually halts your spiritual path and journey. So what's the point of being here if all we ever do is just keep in our little box and our safety net? Pushing out the boundaries, doing things that you've never done before, doing things in your life that you feel is an adventure or going to be. Most people don't see the future as an adventure. They actually fear the future. And thus you have to change your programming the way you think. Most of us were programmed to believe that here and now at this moment, that's it, nothing else. Just stick with little old you, just here, don't move, don't do anything, just stay right where you are. Just be a good boy, be a good girl. Well, you don't see the geniuses of the world, the masters, ever just doing nothing and sitting there. They're creating, they're doing amazing things every day. Their eyes are fixed on positivity, on creation. Creating something in your life can be anything. Creating a new garden, creating a plant bed of herbs, creating a painting, creating, a message, creating a poem, a painting, and so on. Creating is, for me, the spiritual door opening. It's the key that twists and turns the heart, and thus you start to realize that life isn't what I thought it was, because I was told by a black screen that this is what we should fear, this is what we should do, this is where we should be, this is how we should think, feel. And when you switch that off and you create and you say, okay, today is the first day of the rest of my life, I'm going to start to create. That's it. I'm no longer looking at all of that because it hasn't helped. So I guess it's the process, right? We all go through it. I guess what I'm saying today is that we should create and stop fearing our future, because if we fear the future, then the outcome is going to be pretty negative, because we create that what we fear. We become that what we hate. So we have to be so careful in our thoughts and feelings. And it's great practice. It's like any single world champion who plays tennis. He gets up in the morning and he goes and does his thing. He exercises that what needs to be exercised every day. And I think we need to learn that. We need to unlearn what we've learned from the school system. That's created nothing but uncreative souls who just follow a set system. I think when you break free from that, and we can do it at any given moment, I think we change our lives completely. So I guess today's message is creating. Time to create and let everything else go, because you've done it. You've already done the pain. You've already done the suffering. Let it go now. Hasn't helped, has it? Not much. So time to create. I think that would be my answer.
Thank you so much, Mark. And the next question is, we have all lost a lot of friends, family members, loved ones because of different ideas, different beliefs, and for some reason we are not able to respect each other's views and each other's opinions, and people are all turning on each other, and this is really, really hard to see. What would you suggest to people? How can you deal with these difficult dynamics in relationships? What do you do? Can you find some kind of respectable way of dealing with people? What would you suggest?
Another great question. Yeah, this kind of question is one which you can't kind of soundbite. It's a question that is very deep and can go down different paths, but I'll try and keep it as short as possible. I don't think nobody's exempt from disagreeing, from having difference of opinion. We all do. The problem we have now is that hate. As soon as I start speaking about something important, I start to lose my voice lately. I ask myself why. But it's true, when I do videos now, my voice starts to go. So it's an important subject. When you have a beautiful heart and when you're passionate, when you care, which most of us do, our belief, our understanding, our knowledge, our experience, whatever that is, whether it's through a book, whether it's through a video or somebody that you care and listen to, whether it's through your own personal experience, which is ultimately the most powerful. We have to stand for something. We have to believe in something. Who are we? What do we measure ourselves on if we don't have a kind of belief system? That's where it becomes kind of complex. Everybody has an experience, and everybody's experience is different. Nobody is right, nobody is wrong. It's simply an experience. When people fight with each other, it's because they're trying to share their experience. They're trying to tell people what they believe is real because of what they've experienced. But 10 people around a table can talk about a religion and swear that their religion is the most powerful and most pure religion in the world. Who would you turn to? They all believe in what they're saying. So ultimately, you're always going to get this conflict. It does not matter. Every subject has a conflict because of personal experience. When you understand that, first of all, it starts to ease off the pain and suffering of what you believe so passionately about and what somebody else does. In my understanding, there is a process. And I think that process is, you've got to go through the knee-jerk reactions. You've got to go through the pain, the suffering, to end up understanding that particular path that you've chosen, that experience. My personal experience is, I was so angry at first when I saw what people were rushing to. I studied and looked into it very deeply, and it didn't take long before I realised there was something really wrong. I could smell something not right, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realise that there's something very wrong. But people, humanity, we have this flaw. It's beautiful, but when used in the wrong way, it's very dangerous. And we saw that people were blindly running for something. And we were telling our family, stop, just stop a minute. Just look at this. Just look at this information. Just look at this. This want and need to trust in somebody that they don't know, but it's on a black screen, is far more important than you and I. And I think a lot of mothers out there and fathers will be watching this saying, what do you mean? But you'll get it when I say this. How many times have you told your child not to do something? And then one day they come back and say, hey, I've just met somebody and they said this. And you go, hang on a minute. I told you that for the past 2 years. There's something in this. And I came to the understanding that that's more about our spiritual path. And like I said, it's the process, it's the experience. So we have to go through it to get to a point where we go, okay, now I get it. That penny drop moment, that apple on the head moment, that awakening moment isn't really for you and I to force. And I've always said this, when you force feed a child, the only thing that is ever going to happen there is they're going to spew it up and it's going to go all over you, so don't even waste your time. Well, that applies to your family and friends who are doing what they're doing. So we're not here to save anybody. We're not here to heal anybody. We're only here to live the experience and share the experience. If somebody's willing to listen, that's up to them. I've listened to people and I've not listened to people. It doesn't make them right or wrong, just it is what it is. So there is a spiritual aspect in this. So for me, how I deal with my family is I share my truth and that's it. I don't force it down their throat because that's arrogant. I don't belittle them because that's cruel. And I pray a lot. I meditate a lot. And I hope that their moment, their penny drop moment will just happen. And quickly. As soon as possible, please. But if not, there's nothing I can do. So my friends are few because they decided to cut me off because of my belief system. Very similar to a religion, really, when you think about it, eh? This is becoming a religion, science religion. So if you don't believe me, if you don't listen to me, I'm never going to speak to you again. That's not healthy. And we see where religion has got this world. So it's just another war on religion, I guess. And the religion is science. It is what it is. I don't take pleasure when people come back to me, family or friends, and say, oh my God, I'm sick, I'm ill, and I've taken something that now I wish I hadn't taken. You still have to support them. This I told you so moment is only ego. I've cried a lot, and I'm sure you have, who's watching this. I've been so angry. I've been so down. I've been so negative that I've done all of that. And again, it's the course. It's part of the course. It's the experience. And once you get to the point where you say, okay, I felt it, I've experienced it, and now I move on. So I think if you're listeners, you beautiful people watching this now, if you're going through any of those things, eventually all of that will end and you'll say, because deep inside you, you know why you've come here, to speak your truth, to share your experience, to share love and kindness and help people. You'll come to the point where you say, you know, I've done as much as I can do. And then you get to a point where you say, your body says, okay, that's enough, because your physical then will start to cause you illness, if not. So I hope that you listen to that moment when your body says, okay, now you've gone over and above, but this is on a negative side and now it is having an impact on your health. So I ask myself this question: if I was sick on a bed ill, how can I help anybody at all? Well, you can't, Mark. Then it's time to stop. You've done your bit. You've done as much as you can. There is no more guilt because it is what it is. I've done my best. So then you move on. And then you start to spread more love and laughter and happiness, but always keeping true to your values and your belief. And that to me is always having an open mind. Just like I said, praying a lot and sending healing to your family and the people who you think hate you, which they don't hate you at all. They're just in a bad place. Nobody really hates you. It's just they hate themselves. So I think that's it, really. That's as much as I can give you on that note. But I do totally understand with what people are dealing with right now. And you're all in my heart and prayers. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mark. I had an idea. I had a feeling that you were going to say something similar to that. The next question that we have is a lot of people are worried about their immune system. People are scared of what's happening in the world. they want to keep their immune system strong as possible. What would you suggest? What would be the best way? Are there some herbs that you take, meditation, different techniques, sunlight? What would you suggest? What is the optimal way to keep the immune system strong?
Right now, the immune system is the most important thing. It was 2 years ago. I said it right from the very beginning of my videos. The only thing that's important right now is keeping strong, because if there is any kind of illness that's around, which I don't particularly believe in illness, I don't particularly believe in virus. I have a completely different take to all of that after all my study and understanding as a healer with clients. I don't even believe in the immune system. I just think it's a hijacked word. What I believe in is a workforce that is inside your body. I imagine them like little fish, and I also imagine them like warriors. What happens if you don't feed the warriors? Then they can't clear out what's been put inside your body. If you can't clear out what's been put inside your body, then your body is going to go into a toxic mess. It's going to have a toxic attack. And many people misinterpret the toxic cleansing as illness. So I have a different take. But I do understand when people talk about immune system, I do understand that the body has these little fish all around us, millions of them. And they're always cleaning the body. And their focus is on the most difficult issue on the body. And these fish only focus on energetic frequency. The main energetic frequency is what comes through the eyes, the ears, and what you feel. A lot of the times it goes straight to the head. Well, when the head is in anger, when the head is in sadness, grief, all sorts of negative energies, the fish go straight to that place and start to eat away at the energy. Because the fish know if they can't clear that energy pronto, then there's going to be a physical manifestation, and that manifestation causes the body to break down. Thus, the workforce struggle to clear and to cleanse and clear all day long, because most people don't understand that the body is 24 hours purging, cleansing, clearing all the time. And most people don't see that. They only see the body as, oh, I'm okay today, or I feel sick. So the immune system is a complex thing. The 7 principles are really important to me. So if I was to break it down, I would say what your eyes are set upon, what your ears are listening to, what you're thinking is predominantly the number one thing you need to change. So positivity, creativity, happiness, joy, doing, positive work, caring, sharing, just being kind, moving into that kind of energetic frequency through the day if you can, coupled with meditation and working with certain spiritual tools and listening to the shamans who teach body balance. I work with crystals, so that's my kind of thing. I work with natural oils, I work with teas, herbs that really help. And thus you bring your body into more balance. So it's important what you put in your mouth, and it's important what you don't put in your mouth. You become your doctor, you become your guru, you become your teacher, because nobody else will give you what you need, because nobody else knows your body like you. However, there are certain Mother Earth uncontaminated by pesticides and Monsanto stuff. If you keep away and go for natural, organic, healthy and locally sourced produce, you'll find that your body becomes stronger. Exercise, most people don't really exercise. It's vital that you exercise. Meditation is so important. Basically listening to music like I've got and just sit in silence and just be. It's beautiful. Doesn't matter what you think, what you feel, just let it come in and out. Doesn't matter. Don't try and the 3 steps of meditation or to be an expert at meditation. Just relax and just find your moment of relaxation. It takes a bit of time, but the mind then stops rushing, and then it doesn't imprison you anymore. Most people are imprisoned by their mind. And the time is so interesting. If you stick a clock in front of you and say, okay, I'm going to try and meditate now, see how your mind imprisons you. Close your eyes, look at the clock, and then close your eyes and try and meditate. And as soon as your eyes open because you've got a thought or your mind tells you, stop doing this, you should be doing something else, look at the clock, and if it says 1 minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that gives you a great indicator of how your mind imprisons you and how it allows you out of that prison for so many minutes. And when you realize that, you say to your mind, enough is enough, stop. You're not telling me what to do. Go out of the way, because your mind is a beautiful tool, but most people use it not as a tool, but as an actual life path journey. And that is where most people make mistakes. So your mind should be really used when you cross the road and look left and right. Yay, well done, nice one. But not much more after that, Read a few books, make your breakfast, put your clothes on, sign a few contracts. That's what your mind's for. But it surely is not for your future and what it holds and doubts and all of those things. No, not a good place. And that's why meditation is so important. So meditation, the right herbs I recommend at the moment. I channeled a message, and horsetail came up, which is excellent. Sage is excellent. Root of burdock, fantastic. And dandelion, mix them together in equal amounts and drink it as tea, and you'll find that the immune system strengthens. Fantastic. And on a final note, I'd ask you all to do some homework. You've got some homework today, children. Yes, miss. Oh, God, seriously? Yes. You have to study very hard and come back and tell me and write an essay on parasites. I'll leave it there. Parasites, guys. Go and do some research. It might shock you and might help you a lot.
Thank you so much, Mark. And the next question kind of relates back to this. How important is your emotional health in staying healthy and in keeping your immune system strong?
Well, the emotions are very, very interesting because they're connected to all that is and ever will be. That's part of our journey. The emotions are basically a representation of the channeling that we all do. We're all antennas, really. That's the simplest way. We're all picking up information through the ether, through everything. And through that information, we process it and we start to have these thoughts and feelings. I think a lot of us get so consumed by these thoughts and feelings that we sometimes become our own worst enemy. And thus we create a terrible negative energy, not only inside but around us, and thus creates fear, worry for everybody else around us. So one thing, if you want to be popular in the sense of people loving you and think you're great, if you're thinking negative thoughts all the time, well, I guess just ask yourself, do you want to be around somebody who's negative all the time? And sometimes even with a smile on a face, it still doesn't wash. It doesn't work. You're smiling, but you're not really smiling inside. I can feel it. I can feel it in your energy. So when you pretend to your children or your friends that you're happy, but deep down you're feeling terrible and you're trying to put a brave face on, actually it has sometimes really bad consequences to your loved ones, your partner, your children, and it does affect them tremendously. It's vital that we find happiness in our life. Even in times like now, we have to. I mean, what is the alternative? To be miserable all the time? Because you can easily live in misery. I know lots of people who live in misery. I did it for nearly 38 years, dancing on tables and chairs, but really deep down, I remember when a girl pulled I was on top of a stage dancing because I used to be a dancer, and she pulled at my leg and I'm smiling, dancing. She says, "Come here." I went, "Yeah." She says, "You look really happy and you're filled with life and you're making everybody laugh and all that." She says, "But you're not happy at all, really, are you?" Oh, God, you got me. Yeah, and she was absolutely right. She could see straight through. So there's a hole in most of us, and that hole we try to fill with handbags, holidays and cars, and do this and be rushing around and trying to fill that hole in, when the only time you really fill that hole in, that void, is when you sit down and be still. You can only get there when you go inside, because when you go inside, that's when you fill that void, that hole. And it's surprising, in the silence, the answers are there. That's what I found. When I close my eyes, I see so much more. And people say, I don't see anything. Well, this is programming. You've been in a rush all your life. Everything that you see is a rush. And we're all in a rush. We're all rushing. We all want to rush. Matt, this guy's boring. This guy, why can't he just tell me what it is in 30 seconds? Right. That is because we've been programmed. We are basically addicted to quick information. That you need to break. You need to break that. If you don't break that, then all you'll ever be is a quick fix addict on everything in your life. And you can see it's happening more and more. The fact that kids are now becoming so bored instantly, and the reason why is because they're on the black phone and they're looking at quick hits, TikTok, 5 seconds, give me something else, feed me something else. That's the slow disaster of our true nature, our being. Our spirit is screaming out for help, and it's saying, our heads are getting lower and lower and lower because we're on the phone looking at it each year. And it's so sad. I mean, for me, throw that phone away, throw it away. Get the TV, throw it out the window. These are viruses. And get into Mother Earth. Go to Mother Nature. Get outside. And really spend time out there. Don't think about the phone, even though it's a challenge, because it's like losing your right arm for most children these days. In fact, I know some terrible stories about children, threatening their mothers and fathers in such a terrible way if they refuse to give them the phone back for an afternoon. So we need to be aware of that. So I hope this helps a little bit. We could have gone on and on and on and on, but I hope this little bit helps.
Thank you, Mark. This question is from people with children, and what they would like to know is how can you speak to your child about what's happening in the world? What can you say to them? Well, how can you build them up so they're not living in fear all the time? What is like the right age or the right approach? And how much would you tell them about what's actually going on? I know you're a father as well. I'm a mom and we have older kids, but for someone with younger children, how would you deal with this situation?
Thanks, Lynn. Yeah, it's morning time now, and I'm going to answer these other 2 questions. So this question I think you put to me with regards to how we can help our children at this moment, how we can communicate with them without causing stress. And it's always going to be a tricky one, because I guess like you and I and all the mothers and fathers out there, at one point we must have said to our children, or we must have stood back in awe when the penny drop moment happened with their awakening, their consciousness being shaken, when somebody else told them something that you've been trying to tell them for years. Hang on a minute, what do you mean? I've been telling you that for years. That's a funny one. But I guess, that's kind of like ego in us wanting to be the father or the motherly figure of protection and guidance. But first of all, you can't teach Einstein to a child in a day, let alone an adult. And I think we can only do our best with children. We can only, you can't actually put them into a category and say all children should be trained this way, because each individual is a soul, and each soul has its awareness, and that awareness can be on different levels. So I guess it's probably the most trickiest question that I have to answer. One thing I would suggest is never force your opinions and your truth on your children. The right moment and how we come across to our children is an art form. Most of the time we don't have time to find that balance. We just say it as it is and we expect our children to understand, but it's not easy. One thing I've recognized as a father and as a healer for all of these years, most children who are traumatized are normally traumatized because of their parents and not because of their own actions. And it used to shock a lot of my clients when they brought their children up, and I used to lie the mother down or the father down for a healing session, and the child would sit there and I'd say, oh, it's okay, there's nothing wrong with you, Angel, it's your mum or your dad who needs a healing session. And they'd smile, they'd know, and the parents would be totally confused up until they got up from a healing session and realized that it was their energy that was creating the energy of the child. I often say to parents, we can try so hard to help our children through our mistakes by teaching them what we shouldn't have done or what we realized was a mistake, but unfortunately it doesn't really work that way. Children mimic everything that we are and we do. Ultimately, we as a parent have to work on ourselves to be the better role model and energetic frequency for our children. I trust my children. I have never looked at them in worry or fear, because when you do that, the child sees that and believes that they are not worthy or they're not strong enough, and thus they create that within themselves. So when I look at my child, I say, what are you talking about? You're strong enough, you're powerful, you can do whatever you want. I believe in you, I trust you. Do whatever you feel is right. By giving them that power, normally you create something within them that awakens their inner intuition, their gifts, and that worked for me. Maybe your friends who are watching this thinks it's crazy and we have to protect them and we have to do this, and to a degree of course we're going to protect them and do as much as we can and say, look, this is what I went through, this is what happened to me, because I think we make a mistake by pointing our finger at children instead of saying this is what happened to me. And a friend of mine went through this, and did you hear, I heard a story the other day about a little girl who went through this, and by sharing other stories of people and yourself, you relate to that more than somebody telling you what you should and shouldn't do. So I found that a fascinating way of coming across to children and to adults in my sessions. Never pointing the finger, just making them think, oh, I'm a little bit like that. Oh yeah, I do that sometimes. Well, you're not telling them they're doing it, you're telling somebody else's, but they relate to themselves. Anytime you talk about something, it's Mother Nature. It's inherent in our energy. It's in our DNA, our genes, our natural, pure DNA, by the way. I'm not really sure I can speak to you as a father figure saying this is what you should do, but as a healer, what I've shared with you on these points are very valid. And sometimes I'd put a radio show on that I know is filled with integrity and truth and common sense and facts. And I'll put the radio on in the background so my daughter can hear it, or my son, or somebody that I care for can hear it. I'm not forcing it on them. I'm not telling them to listen to it. And that way they'll flow into it. It'll be an easy flow into, hey, did you just hear that, Dad? What was it? It was about, they just said, I said, really? Wow. What do you think about that? Well, I think this, and wow, okay. So it's a way of, I know you might think this is kind of reverse psychology, but what's the alternative? Fighting, screaming, shouting, telling your children what they should and shouldn't do. I'm not really into that. So, that's as far as I can go with this one. I'm pretty gentle. I don't raise my voice. I've never raised my hand to my children. I believe that's a sure way of losing any battle. I've been in an abusive relationship with my dad all my life. It's past now, but I know the difference between love and I know the difference between abuse, and I know which I would rather give. Love wins all the time, but I also do understand that we're creating a world of children who don't really understand what it's like outside in the open because we're protecting them so much. Thus, I say, look, you can do it. Go for it. Doesn't matter if you think you've not done it correctly or you've fallen. It's taking you to exactly where you're going. So keep going, and I'll always support you. There's no such thing as failure. Just keep doing it and enjoying it. And that's it, really. I think that's it anyway. I hope it's helped a little bit. Probably not helped at all.
Thank you, Mark. Those are some really, really helpful tips. My next question is about 5G, radiation, things like that. I know you work with stones and crystals, and I know there's a lot of things out there that you can use, that we can use to protect ourselves from 5G radiation, from different kinds of radiation. What can we do to protect our bodies? I mean, I have this stone from you. This is a Silicon Valley crystal, and I wear this especially when I'm around my computer, and this really keeps you safe from radiation, and it's also supposed to be effective against 5G. But I'm just wondering if there are other things, like what other things, what kind of stones, crystals, what can we use?
Radiation poisoning, radiation It's actually microwaves, really, we should be thinking about. Microwaves is above us now. They were all sent up, so they're all there. So it's basically, we are now living in an open microwave oven. So the best way to explain it, in my understanding after my research, is that if you take a metal spoon or some tin foil and put it in your microwave, and hopefully you don't have one, but just to test it, if you go to a friend's house, just put a spoon or a knife in the microwave and switch it on, see what happens. So when you consider yourself that if you've put inside your body any kind of iron, and I mean iron that is metals, and you have an energy weapon that can be switched on at any minute, you can now see the millions of bombs that will explode inside you because it reacts to that. So now at the moment we've got a very, very low kind of energy that is kind of building. So it was the low G's and now it's going to the high G's, but I believe it's getting more and more and more, and systematically being switched on here and there. So whether this is purposeful or whether it isn't doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that it is energy weapon system. And the closest thing to it is something called the growler. If you guys want to check it out, it's there to see. Just type in to a search engine the growler. The growler is the same energetic frequency, only a few off. If you look at the scale of these waves, it's only a few off. That is a crowd disperser, and it's horrific. Well, the 5G technology is built on the same basis, to my knowledge. And if you want real information from that, you would go and hunt out a very, very special gentleman called Barry Trower. And he'll explain in great detail because that was his work. I started researching crystals, which are the best crystals. Now, quartzes are great, but they didn't really resonate for me. It didn't really, some people swear blind by them, but it didn't really resonate with me because I'm kind of like, I'm that kind of person who keeps trying different things and seeing the outcome. And I've kind of worked with over 10,000 or maybe double that of clients. Some people call them patients, I call them friends. But over the years, the 2 decades that I worked with them, I was placing crystals on them, seeing which would help. And then I would take my phone and see which would feel better or worse by placing my hand there and a crystal here, and so on. I did lots of work. And you're right, Lynn. The crystal that is uncannily, it's kind of eerie when you think about it. We are being attacked by the very name that I say, try this crystal, which is Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, is that what is causing the issue now in the world? Ironic, eh? Irony. Some people call that crystal, in fact I've got a piece here, terahertz. It's called terahertz. It's not actually a crystal, but I call it a crystal, just like Moldavite. It's not a crystal, but I call it a crystal. It's easier. But this is great, and it works. It works for me, works for my clients, and maybe in time science will catch up to it. There's a lot of controversy with a crystal called chungite, and this is chungite, and I have to say I really enjoy it, and I can feel the benefit. I really can. So it works well for me. To know whether you've got a piece of chungite is hold your phone and just do this with the tip of the chungite, and if your phone moves up and down like it would your finger, you know you've got a genuine piece of chungite. These things are energetic frequencies. How they actually distort or protect us, I'm not sure. I don't know the science behind it, but I know it works. So these two crystals I really like. When we're talking about this kind of frequency, I also like a crystal called hematite. Hematite's great, and when you wear hematite, it's cleansing your blood, it's clearing all the time the toxins. So that's another great crystal. There are so many crystals I can talk about, but yeah, I think predominantly, if I was to summarize this, crystals are great, but really, by keeping well away from the towers, by keeping away from smart technology, by switching your phone off and switching all the electrics off on a night, by giving yourself a break through the day, by switching your phone on plane mode all the time when you're not using it, are smart ideas, are really boxing clever. And I think that's what we need to do, box clever, because the phone and what is within the phone and the technology, what is within the phone and the energetic frequency that is happening is a constant addictive energetic frequency that is making everybody now become so addictive that they believe that their hand is actually fused to a phone. And that is quite scary, but nobody talks about it. Eating healthy is very, very important as well. Yeah, it's kind of mad because, you know, drinking plenty of water is so important, yet these phones and this technology targets the places in the body where most water is within the body. That's the brain and the ovaries and down there. So my understanding of that is keep your phone well away from those places. Also keep well away from, you know, these earphones which are connected to Bluetooth. They are absolutely deadly. So keep well away from them as well. Use a plug-in and with a wire, that's better. These are just ideas, that's all. And I stay well away from anything past 5G. Not interested in 5G, 6, 7G, not interested. I stick with a 4G older phone. Not that it's any better, but I feel safer with it because I remember when I had a 5G phone, it was devastating for me and I got rid of it as soon as I could.
Thank you, Mark. And I will link to your shop down below so people can check out the different beautiful crystals that you have for sale. I always love browsing your shop and I always find something new and something nice. Also makes great gifts. I really like giving them as gifts as well. So the next question is an interesting one. This one is about karma. Do you believe in karma? Is there karma? With all the terrible things that are happening right now in the world, will people actually pay for what they're doing to us? Like, is there going to be some kind of justice? Do you believe in karma?
Karma. Yes, how you treat me is your karma. How I react back is mine. I don't believe in karma per se because that brings a lot of negativity and a lot of hate, a lot of revenge. I don't believe in it. I totally don't believe in it. People do bad things, they do bad things, and that's the way it is. People do good things, and that's the way it is. Depending on what they've been through, it depends on how they're going to react as they get older. One thing I always say to people is please don't bully the school geek because one day he might grow up to be called Billy and then cause a lot of issues in the world. It's just a joke. But you know what I'm saying. Be kind. I'll give you a little story. It might make you understand because I really enjoy the old Gurinder Singh Babaji. You can't find him on the internet because he's not interested in photos or anything like that. I like that. I remember he was talking about karma. It was an interesting subject because the idea of karma is it's here all the time. We live in it. I walked out of the studio where I used to work. I finished my day's work, and as I walked down the stairs, I saw this man hitting a woman. And they were screaming at each other. But funnily enough, in the morning I'd been to see this guru. He doesn't call himself a guru, but they do call him a guru. There was about 7,000 people who were there. And he talked about karma. So I thought about the karma. So he explained what karma was in his opinion. So I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. Where's the karma here? Why am I watching a man hit a woman? What part do I play in this karma? Is karma the man hitting the woman because the woman needs to be hit? Or do I go over and stop that? Or is it my karma not to stop it and let them continue because it's her karma and it's his karma? Am I interfering with karma? I just said, oh, stuff that, ran down the stairs and got him, pushed him to one side and says, don't hit a woman. She then started hitting me, punching me. Then he started punching me. I walked off and I thought, where's the karma there? Was that my karma? Did I deserve that? I mean, what on earth is karma? I think it leaves a bad taste in my mouth because I hate it when I see people saying, wait till they get their karma. Nah, that's not nice. I don't like that. But what I do say is this, we all go through an experience in life, and when anybody has done something terrible to me, I say, please don't. And they laugh. And I say, I mean it, don't, right? And this is what you're talking about. And I'm saying, look, I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, and I don't want anything negative to happen to you, but things have happened to people when they do stuff to me. So please don't. Just forget it. Don't be nasty. So they laugh and then do something horrible, and then a few weeks later something really bad happens to them. And my heart sinks. My heart sinks. And I feel so bad. And I often wonder why that is. But let me tell you, I don't wish hate. I don't wish harm on anybody. Yet something can happen at any given moment to people. So what I say to people is this: don't do or think nasty thoughts. I think that's for me, the best thing to do. I just think, you know what? The universe does what the universe does. Our journey is our journey, whatever that is. So I keep away from karma and just do the best I can. And I don't enter into the idea of karma, because it will only make me feel angry, and then I'll wait for something bad to happen to somebody. And you know, I've got more important things to do in my life. And if I'm looking at somebody else, then I'm not doing anything positive for my life, and I must be lazy and silly. So I'm not going to do that. So that's my take on karma. How you treat me is your karma. So if you treat me really nice and well and you're kind, then you've got a lovely karma. If you treat me awful, that's terrible. But if I treat you bad thereafter, then my karma is equal. So I ain't going to treat them bad no matter how bad somebody treats me, because I want to keep my energy high. So I think maybe we misinterpret the word karma a little bit.
Thank you so much, Mark. That's very helpful again. And our last question is, what kind of tools can people use? I mean, we're all stressed, we're upset, everything's turned upside down in our lives. I'm sure you have some really good coping mechanisms for stress, or different tools that we can use, be it meditation, walking in nature. I mean, those are the things that I really like to do. I like hiking, I like connecting with nature, going in the sun, meditation, things like that. They really, really help me. What are your favorite tools?
So the final question is probably the most important question, of course, because everything is energy. When you realize everything is energy, it actually started with a lemon with me, and you probably can see that I have lemons everywhere. This is actually from my farm, believe it or not. So yeah, and it's got a little bit of a dark here, but that's natural from the campo. But when you normally get a lemon like this, what I soon realized as a healer is that lemons have a unique ability. Lemons are incredible, by the way, if you've ever heard of ions and anions. They're the only fruit that basically produce what the body produces to basically fixing and healing and replenishing certain body parts. So if you with a lemon, if you drink lemon water with water, or lemon straight every morning, well, let me just say it's the most incredible thing you can do. But a lemon also has a great ability on a shamanic level, on a spiritual level, on an energetic level. It's the only, in my opinion, I could be completely wrong, but it's the only fruit that I've ever worked with that has an ability to absorb negative energy. And you see it in a room if you leave it underneath your pillow, or in a room, or in your child's room. I actually made a video, if you ever want to go and see it. It's actually hit 2 million views, because it's a really interesting observation. It's an interesting fact. A lot of people say it's nonsense, but it does work. And I've proven it time and time again. I don't need to prove it, but this is how it works. A lemon absorbs negative energy, so it's a thermometer for negative energy. And if you leave it in a room, if your room's in good energy, then the lemon will shrink. I've got tons of them over there. You probably want to have a look at them, right? So the lemon shrinks to this. So they kind of shrink, and then they go a little bit brown, and then they go a little bit hard, and they end up like this. So if your room's in good energy, the lemon will kind of dehydrate and then turn into here. And I've got some lemons here which are years old, and that's how it should be. But if you've had an argument, if the room's in bad energy, if you've been abused in a room, if there's a lot of grief in a room, if there's just sadness and fear and anger, we produce negative energy and other people produce it. So we're all producers of positive and negative energy. Well, the lemon absorbs that energy and it goes off. And how do you know when a lemon's gone off? A lot of the times they kind of have a kind of powder on them. So first of all, they'll get little black dots, or they'll start going a little bit green, and it's got this toxic powder on. Don't touch that powder. Throw it straight away in Mother Earth. Dig Mother Earth and put it in Mother Earth, or get it out of the way. Don't touch that powder. Don't breathe it in. It's toxic. And that is my indicator to cleanse the room and myself. So let's say if I've got the lemon next to my bedside cabinet and it goes off, then I know that my energetic frequency as well as the room needs cleansing. So I often used to do healing sessions in certain parts of the academy here. And if it was a really heavy energetic session, really heavy, you could be 100% sure that the lemons in that room would go off, but the lemons in here were fine. So that was the kind of starting point for me to understand energy when I didn't see it. But then I ended up learning how to see energy. And from that moment on, I needed to know how to cleanse and clear the room as well as myself, especially after doing healing sessions, because you do pick up that energetic frequency, whether it's good or bad, heavy or light or dark or whatever. I tried many different hundreds, if not thousands, of techniques. And one which proved 100% to me, and has done till this day after 2 decades of traveling 30 countries, going into houses, churches, pubs, companies, catacombs, everywhere, every building you can think of, and cleansing that building of negative energy, of spirit trapped in between two worlds. There was one thing which was predominantly the most powerful. I call it the jet wash of negative energy, and that's sage. So sage is one of my tools, and I don't have many tools, but this is one of my tools. And I have many videos showing you how to use it, so you can go onto my site and have a look freely. There's over 1,500 videos there for you to watch, and you'll learn quite a lot as a healer if you want to learn how to heal or to cleanse your house. And the second most popular video on that channel is how to cleanse the house. So sage has a natural gift. It's been gifted by Mother Earth, as Mother Earth gives us everything, to cleanse and clear. And if you sage correctly, meaning if you burn the sage and the smoke enters the room and fills it and it enters your energetic frequency, it will cleanse negative energy away. So that was my first tool. I started watching the shamans and working with them, and some good shamans, some not so good, some light shamans, and some who worked in the dark. And they all were using something that I found fascinating, which was incense. And the incense they were using was from a tree, and the tree was called Palo Santo, and I was fascinated by it, but I couldn't burn it very well. This is Palo Santo that I've got in my hand. It's a tree. It's kind of endangered now, so we have to be very careful. So this is it, and it's hard to burn, but when it burns it gives off again smoke, and the smoke is the secret. So it cleanses and clears you. So I created the Palo Santo into fine kind of powder, and fused it together with Moldavite, frankincense, and a few other resins. And we created this, which is a stick, and it's called Sacred Cleansing Negative Energy Incense Sticks. So, and this is the stick here. That's the stick, and you light it, and you spend about 3 minutes and put it all around your body before any kind of practice or anything you're doing through the day. So let's say you want to do meditation, which is really vital for all our health and well-being. If we're doing any kind of spiritual work, or even if we're meeting with people that we're feeling that it's going to be a bit of a struggle, I always cleanse myself with the stick for 3 minutes and then put it out. And the sticks last for ages, they're great. That works tremendously. It really works well. And so when I saw the shamans doing it and holding their hands out and turning round and somebody going up and down, I was fascinated by that. And then I could see clearly there's a great energetic cleansing taking place. And at the start they cleanse themselves because of whatever they've been doing outside in Mother Earth, and with other people and being around other people, we pick up what I call dirty energy. I saw the shamans always cleansing themselves before and after, and I could see the difference in energetic frequency with them before and after, so it did make a difference. So after every single session I did with my clients, I would always use the sticks to cleanse and clear them, and it worked really well. Sometimes before and after, sometimes before, middle and after, depending on their energetic frequency and what's being cleared from their body at any given moment. So that was the other thing. Then I use oils. I've just brought some because I'm doing a video shortly, and the oils are in here. I have 10 oils, and those oils are of Mother Earth's oils. And I put them all over my body depending on what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and how I'm doing it. Oils have a great energetic frequency. They also hold a healing memory within them to heal the body in so many ways. That's why I love natural oils. Mother Earth's plants, flowers, Mother Earth's trees, and all the other beautiful things, petals, and all of those things that, we just, what's that? But actually, that is everything. Crystals are probably the final thing I could talk about. There are so many crystals that at this moment in time are so important for our well-being. So I normally wear 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 around me. If I'm doing healing work, I will have maybe 50 or 100 at hand. So every crystal has a unique frequency, and it's good to test them by way of experience, meaning that instead of reading books, just go to a crystal store and just hold certain crystals and feel them, and whichever crystal calls you, then buy it and work with it. So the crystal always chooses you. Everybody knows who knows me, my favorite crystal in the world is not a crystal, it's a meteorite, and it landed 50 million years ago. It's called Moldavite. And so many people are talking about Moldavite now, it's unreal, and it's becoming extremely expensive, but it is well worth buying a tiny piece. It doesn't have to be a big piece, but as long as it's genuine. That is a real breakthrough in the awareness of a lot of people. It's a bit like ayahuasca smash in the face, but I'm not really into ayahuasca because everybody now is a shaman in Peru, and I think you have to be very careful when you're dabbling in that kind of stuff. You've got to be prepared. You've got to make sure that the person who is taking you through that is very experienced and who knows if you're ready or not. Otherwise, it can cause more of an issue and can actually cause addiction to ayahuasca. So I'm not too huge on that. I like natural meditation to get to a point of nirvana. I've done it a few times and it's bliss. It's incredible. And being able to feel my family in the spirit world, crystals help you with that. So yeah, I could talk about crystals all day, and I don't want to bore anybody today, but suffice to say that the few tools that I use, and I've always used all over the world, which is another one, is this. This is a natural spray. This is from Lemon House, which I allowed them to sell my water. They're the only ones who sell it. And you think, oh my God, he's selling water, but it's not actually water. It's water from nearly every, well, not every, but so many points of the world where, let's say, holy water is created, special water is created, and miracles happen in those places. So like the start of the Ganges, Bali, where the ancients believed that one of the gods speared the ground and spring water came up. Lourdes, Fatima, all over. And I've got 3 more actual waters from Europe of very sacred places that are actually going into my water in the next coming week, which I might do a video on. But this is basically pure energy healing water. So it's all of that water, and then I work on it for hours until I'm happy with the great big bottle, which is in the other room. And when I'm happy with it, then they get bottled up and it's put into a sacred spray. So basically, you just spray yourself. And in my Diary of an Accidental Psychic, you can read about one story where I was doing an exorcism, or let's just say a cleansing and clearing of negative energy or entity, and I used that water, which then was a gift from somebody from Fatima, and then I realized, wow, there's something in this. All my tools are natural, and it was an organic kind of happening, and I worked with them through trial and error. And like I said, I've worked with thousands of tools, thousands of them, but I only ended up with a handful that I worked with full time in my little man bag, which is also not here today. Everything's not here because we've been doing a tidy up. So that's it really. I hope some of this helps you a little bit. I know it's gone on a little bit, but I could have talked to. I mean, if you watch Matt Bajerski YouTube videos, if you were to watch one a day, it'd take you 4 years to actually watch them all. So I've done a lot of work and shared a lot of my experiences on there, and I hope this has helped you today. And thank you so much for allowing me to share my truth with you today. Some of it may resonate with you. Some of it may be absolute gobbledygook, makes no sense, and some people may even think it's dark. The one thing I'm not is dark. The one thing I am is loving, kind, and caring, and I share as much as I can and help as much as I can the world strengthen and become happy. That's it really. I don't think I can say anything other than that. Crystals are amazing. They have an energetic frequency, and that they heal, they cleanse, they clear, and they really are quite unbelievable, and that's why I've worked with them for 2 decades. They're incredible. So maybe you might get into crystals, and like I said, go down to your local crystal store. I'm so in the energy of supporting local produce, local shops, not corporations, guys, because you're only going to buy junk and fake and toxic stuff. Just go to your local, support your local stores and your local shops, because then you're feeding their families, and you know where the money's going, and you know it's authentic and genuine. Okay, take care.
Mark, thank you so much for being here today. We really, really appreciate all your insight and all the information that you shared with us. You really are just an incredible person with so much wisdom. And I think you really see what's happening in the world and around us. And like I said, you've helped me so much throughout the years and have given me a lot of comfort during difficult times. And I really hope that this video will serve to help others as well. Guys, I will link Mark's information and contact details, website, everything below, so you can get more information on him. I also recommend his books. They are fantastic. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.